Good afternoon, everybody, or good evening or good morning, depending on where you are in the world. My name is Zach. I am here with my co-host today, Stephen, and we're going to be taking a look at our advanced website designer webinar, and I don't know why it says content. I've just realized that my title is wrong in two ways, so I apologize for everybody about that. This is the advanced website designer webinar, and it is Saturday, April 22nd, not Saturday, April 21st, but I appreciate all your patience with us as we're working on getting started here. So once again, I am Zach. I am here with my co-host, Stephen, who's going to be handling our Q&A at the end. And I just want to call out a couple different things before we get started. First and foremost, we do have both chat and Q&A available for everybody here. There should be some options inside of your Zoom controls to bump into those. I would ask for everybody to try and keep their questions to the Q&A panel. That way, Stephen can make sure that he gets those addressed. Any of the great questions that might be good for the actual end of our webinar session is Q&A. He might flag up for us to review at the end. But of course, if you do ask questions in chat, we will do our best to get to them. But the Q&A option is a little bit nicer just because it allows us to track those really well, make sure you guys got those responses, and it puts it all together for everybody at the end too. So once again, Q&A box, best place to put questions in, and then chat. So I'm going to go ahead and advance us here one screen to get into some more of the information here. So we are going to be going into a review of the basic of the website designer with a heavy emphasis on widget overview. We're going to be talking in depth about both our pre-formatted and our custom widgets, what they both do really well, what they don't do well, and how you guys can take advantage of them. We're going to be showing off building a dynamic carousel with links and slides and information. We're going to be working to set up a custom page from our templates and why we can, or rather how we can resave that page for further use in the future and make it its own template. We'll talk a little bit about sharing in social media with the concept of like our social sharing widgets as part of our stories and event and calendar content. And we'll also take a look at the Facebook page plugin and how that all works to help your club website and growing your audience. And lastly, we're going to have a quick introduction to custom CSS with Club Runner. We can't, for full disclosure, our team is unable to provide support for custom CSS. That all falls into our professional services. But most importantly, we do want customers to be aware that those options are available, especially if you have your own member of your club that is, advanced and capable and understands HTML and is comfortable working with it. In addition to being able to hire like external contractors, bring them in and let them help make those changes for your website. All right. With all of that said, let me go ahead and get out of that, and we will head right into our demo website here. So we've got our Rotary Club of Kipling here, and right now the club website looks okay, but I know there's a couple things Rotary-wise that are not in brand compliance. So right now, first and foremost, I am going to call out this logo is a lockstep logo, which is not appropriate for Rotary clubs. Not to mention the way the club name is spelled is a little odd. So we'll go ahead and take care of that in a minute. We're actually going to give it a quick makeover, get the website looking a little bit nicer. But I want to call out as our starting place how we can get into the website designer. Now, for a lot of customers, the default method would probably be to sign in, which we've already done. We're going to head into the members area, and we have a couple different options to navigate into the website designer, and I want to make sure that you guys know all of them and have them available for yourselves. So we can use the website tab here at the top between the attendance and reports tab, and on the gray bar down below, we have different options like the website designer home, the actual homepage designer, managing our stories, additional website content, our image library, and our website settings. As we have navigation options in the menu, which are really fantastic, wherever you are in the system, in most cases, the menu is available. We also have lots of options on our administrative dashboards. Scrolling down here to the very bottom, you guys can see that we do have a website management block, which has a lot of these same links. So we can dive right into the website designer, manage any of the major options. Same thing with website content and its buttons. For example, if we just needed to go create a new story, we could absolutely go do that. Just clicking here would take us right over there. Additionally, I want to show you guys a neat feature for our site administrators and also our district administrators. Though I'm really confused why the theme just changed on me. I must have changed it leading up to our the start of our demo here. So I am actually going to go ahead and click on this edit pencil icon. Excuse me. So for any administrators that you guys have on your club or district's websites, for that matter, there is this absolutely fantastic edit pencil. And this edit pencil will basically throw you into the designer or the edit interface for the page that you are looking at. So you guys saw that on the homepage, that edit pencil threw me right into the website designer for the homepage. But I do want to show it off. For example, I actually don't know if I have anything here showing. Let's go, I'm going to manually navigate here. Stories, I think it's just the stories page. So I want to just go very quickly into this first club in the Philippines story, and you guys can see here that this edit pencil is still here. This is a really handy tool for getting around and speeding up your navigation through the website. Let's say you're looking at this story and you see something's wrong with it, something you don't like, there's picture's wrong, content's wrong, something's wrong. Clicking on the large edit pencil will send us right into that editing interface, and it is a great way to navigate through the front end of our website and get directly into the content. So now that we have taken a look at some of the other sections and how we can get into the website designer, let's head right back into that homepage designer. So I will go ahead and switch tabs, bringing us back to our design homepage. This was launched from our edit pencil, and we can see we have a whole bunch of different options, including our designer area. Really quickly, we'll go over a brief introduction and overview of the UI, and then we'll dive into changing and modifying some of these options. Along the top, we have our return to Club Runner and go back buttons, which are always a great way to head back to whatever page you were last there. At the top here on the left-hand side, we have the name of our page. So right now we know we are designing and working on the home page. In the center of our UI here, at the very top, we have 3 preview options: a desktop preview, a tablet preview, and a mobile phone preview. This lets you very quickly, clicking on the preview button will send you right into the preview section, and you can see for each of the types a general idea of how it will look when it is viewed on that type of device. So this is our desktop device. We're going to switch to our tablet device. You can see how the page changes quite drastically. And we can look at a mobile device, which is going to be very similar to the tablet device, but even smaller of a viewport. This is a great way to make sure that your club or district website looks okay and acceptable, and all the navigation elements flow as you expect it. Let's head back to that editing interface. Moving across the top here from the preview sections, we also have a nice link to view a live page. This basically will take you to whatever that live page is. And then we have our publish button. The publish button lets us push this page and any of the changes that we've made on it live, and it's really fantastic. So basically, as a way to really drive this home, anytime you add a widget to the page, remove a widget from the page, or change the location of a widget, that absolutely requires a publish. Anytime you are editing the widget inside of this interface here, I'm going to drop a pre-formatted widget really quickly here. So any of the changes that I do, even the fact that I put this widget on the page, won't show up until I publish it. So just as an example, I'm going to go ahead and hit publish. I'm going to go ahead and hit view live page. And when we come out here on the live page, you can see that we have my new widget. This being this pre-formatted widget we just dragged and dropped. Heading back into the designer, I can come in here and type our widget title to give it a title. I would like some filler text, so I am going to look up some Lipsum. Lipsum is a very old industry thing, or at least I've been very familiar with it in the publishing industry. It gives us some really nice generic text to use so that we can fill up some space. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy that and use it. We're going to click into here. I'm going to paste it in here just so I can fill that section out. And lastly, we will dive into these buttons a little bit more. I am just going to empty the label so that this button doesn't show up. And let's go and take a look at the home page again. So if we switch back to our homepage tab and we reload the page, we will see that nothing has changed. This is because we haven't published the page. Not only did we add the widget, but we now made changes to the widget. So anytime you're doing live editing in the website designer, in order for your changes to be seen, you must publish the page. So adding widgets, dragging and dropping widgets onto the page, deleting widgets by clicking on the X button, or rearranging them on the page all require a publish. Additionally, anytime you modify the content in the live designer interface that we're looking at now, you will also need to do a publish to make your changes go live. Go ahead. We will come back to a much more in-depth preview of pre-formatted widgets in a few minutes. Moving along the top in our gutter or sidebar here, we have a couple different options. The first one we've been working with already is our content section. The content section contains all of our webinars and their various features and abilities. I'll go into them in a minute after we go through the themes and the layouts. Basically, you can think of all of your widgets as how you get content onto your website or onto your very specific page. Themes are the look and feel of your website. Now, when you guys originally came in and I had the website up, this was the theme that we had. I'm going to go ahead and republish that just so that it's looking good there. So we do have our older theme now on the page, but we can definitely choose other themes and we can do other things. So I have set the cloud theme now. This is where we originally were intending to be. We are going to switch to the community theme. I am going to be specific and use the Azure blue and gold. So fantastic. We switched to another theme. You guys saw this theme just a minute ago, but we don't have a place for to put our logo. Well, we do, but it's not in the same place that it used to be. We will talk about that in just a second, though. But I do like this blue and gold theme, this Azure and gold theme. These are the official Rotary brand colors. So I'm going to go ahead and stay with this. I'm just going to publish just to make sure my change took. Next, we're going to go to the layout section. Layouts control the physical order of the page for the desktop version primarily, but it also controls all other layouts. So right now we are using a 3-column layout. We have a top section. This touches the absolute edges of the browser, the absolute edges of the browser's window. We have a top section, which touches the end of the document window. I'm using some industry, like some standard terms here, but basically the document is the maximum size that we normally allowed content to be inside of. In this top section, like the 3 columns below it, do not normally touch the sides of the browser window. They will basically expand up to a maximum of about 11 to 1200 pixels, and it won't go any further. Moving down, we have 3 columns. We have our primary column, and then our left and right columns. Very quickly, to show this off, when you are using a mobile device, your page's content collapses from top to bottom, primary column, then left to right. So in this case, if we go back and we look at the desktop view, we have our 2 top columns. They don't display anything because there is no content in them. Then we have our 3-column view. This main column is our primary content column, and it will be the first row of information. It'll be the first list of information. Then we will switch to the left column, then the right column. So when I hit this tablet view, you will see that the sidebars have gone away, and we now have our center column. It's really all we have, but our center column is first. And as we scroll down, we can now see our left column starting here with our website sponsors, and then our right column. Let's head back to the edit page. So all of these layouts have different options and configurations. We have a layout that has the same top sections, then a primary content left and a sidebar right. We have the reverse of that, sidebar left, primary content right. We have our 3-column layout, which we are currently using. We have a similar 3-column layout, but it has additional top and bottom bands. We have a set of it's basically a completely centerized version. It has 2 full width areas at the top and the bottom, but otherwise it just has full widths. We have a very complicated, well, it's not very complicated. It's basically full width bands. It's these 2 style of bands, this banner full width and top band, but it's just repeated constantly on the page and they have different color variations. And then we also have a 50-50 split. It has no primary section, so it's just left to right. Coming back to our content section, these are where all of our widgets are and where the majority of our content will be coming from. But before we get to that, I do want to show off a couple other navigation items inside of the website designer before we move into our widgets. Some sections of the website designer will light up and allow you to edit different areas of the system. So for example, we have the option to edit a logo. We can manage our navigation menu. And if we scroll, I'm using my mouse wheel here to get all the way to the bottom. We also have a footer and we can hit edit and it will take us to edit the footer. Now, very quickly, I don't have a logo here right now and I do want to fix that. So I am going to click edit logo. I am going to click edit image here. And I am going to go grab my Rotary Club of Kipling demo image, which is what I have, and I'm going to publish my menu. Now, I, just like all of you who have access to my Rotary, I was able to go into my Rotary, create this logo for our club, very quickly crop it so that it looks appropriate. And so there are 2 menu logos here. Effectively, if you only have one logo uploaded, it will only use that logo. The primary reason you might want 2 distinct logos is if your club either makes use of light and dark themes or you do some custom CSS to make light and dark themes available. But it is nice to at least have one of these uploaded. That way it is used. Anytime we make a change to the website logo, we do need to publish the menu to see that change go live. So I will do that. I will switch out to our homepage. I will reload. And we will see that our club logo is up there, which is fantastic. All right, let's head back to the website designer. Let's close some of these other pages here. And let's continue on. So let's talk in depth about widgets. So each of these groupings here are your widgets. You can click on them, we'll expand them, and you'll see your collection of widgets. Widgets tend to come in a couple different flavors. These are pre-formatted widgets. They are what we refer to internally as instanceable widgets, meaning that you can have as many of them as many times as you like, and they're all a unique copy of that widget. So if I wanted to fill up my homepage or a specific page with article left, and then article right, and then article left, and then article right, so on and so forth, infinitely down the page, I can absolutely do that. I wouldn't specifically recommend it, only because there's probably some easier ways to get the news in there. But if you wanted to have that display and you wanted to have specific pieces of content, you can very easily do that. And every time we create one, it is a unique copy. So this is widget 1. This is widget 1, right? Now down here, we have widget 2. And now down here, we have widget 3. Each of these widgets are their own instance or version of this widget. They won't overwrite or compound or fight with each other. So we can have as many or as few of these widgets as we want. Some generally widget UI information to be aware of. Anytime you see a plus on the widget, you are creating or adding a new copy of that widget to the page. If, for example, you see the magnifying glass in the case of these pre-formatted widgets, this means this widget has already been created and in theory should have some content associated with it. We can see whatever that is by hovering over it and clicking on the magnifying glass, though I see a bug here that I will have to report to our team, which is great because no one's brought it to my attention, but we can also drag and drop the widget directly onto the page and see whatever content's in it. If we don't like it or we don't need it, we can send it back just by clicking on the X on it. So let's talk about, no, sorry, I want to keep going. So each one of these groups can be collapsed or expanded, and we have different types of carousel or different types of widgets. So I will be spending extra time with our pre-formatted carousels, and custom widgets. So I'm going to talk about the other widgets first before we shift our focus back. Our first category that we're going to talk about are our essential widgets. And as you guys see, or hopefully can see, we have the magnifying glass. So this means that we are not creating a new copy of this widget. We are simply replacing this widget onto the page. And if we do it more than once, is the same widget multiple times. So this is the meeting information widget, which actually we have right here, also referred to as club information, and it shows a whole bunch of useful links and information. It is dynamically pulled out of Club Runner and placed onto the website for you, meaning that anyone else, if they have access and they go and update the club's meeting time or the meeting details, they create bulletins, the venue map changes, any of those options, they'll all automatically come directly out of Club Runner and just be updated. So once this widget's on the page, it will dynamically stay up to date. A lot of our widgets are like that, especially things like our executives and directors, for example. This is a widget that shows off your current club officers as you guys have defined them on the executives and directors page, but there's no way to edit this information in this widget. The only way to change the information in this widget is to go and edit the club executives and directors page. We also have things like our homepage stories. Let's actually clean some of this up. I think I saw our club stories over here in the side, so let's move that right underneath our club information. And we will keep going here. So we have homepage stories and homepage news. These are ways to list the stories that you create in Club Runner on either the homepage or for custom pages on those specific pages. It basically features them just like you guys see right here on our club stories. We have homepage download files. This is a collection of public files for download. And the reason I'm so empathetic about public is that they are public. Any file added to the homepage download files is completely 100% open to the public to download and view. And the reason I'm harping on that so much is really be careful with what files you upload there. You would never want to upload a file that contains personal information that members are not comfortable with being public to the homepage download files. So just keep that in mind. If for any reason you need a secure form of document storage that will limit it to members of the club, please use the documents option. We have our homepage photo albums. Basically, we have a bunch of different content types in Club Runner, custom and site pages, stories, calendar related things, all of those and photo albums, and all of those things have a way to expose themselves on the homepage. So if we've been really active about building our photo albums and we want to feature specific photo albums, that's how we do it. I'll do a quick preview on there. We don't have any photo albums assigned to the homepage, so it's not there. But you can think of this as a great way if you know someone, your editor in your club is constantly updating the photo albums, and you want to make sure that they can feature them on the homepage, you can allow them to add, like you can, even if they just have access to the photo albums, they can still manage which photo albums are on the homepage through the photo albums permissions, which then allows the homepage to get updated because they went and updated the photo album section. The same thing with custom pages and site page. All three of these widgets are a way to feature content, either custom pages, site page, or homepage content dynamically on the homepage or in other parts of the system without requiring someone to come and do it manually. We also have a birthdays and anniversaries widget, which is fantastic for listing upcoming club information for your club. Some clubs do prefer to have this on a members only page just for privacy, but the widget is there. Additionally, we have a presidential message widget. It will dynamically pull the president's picture, and there's a little section in there to allow the president to put their own message. We also have our Contact Us widget, which lets you create a nice little widget right on the page that sends an email to a specific email address. In this case, I'm just going to put our support email address in there. And now anyone who comes to our website and wants to fill out our contact widget, they will send that message to support@clubrunner.ca. We also have our classic carousel widget or quick carousel widget. The quick carousel widget will take a photo album's worth of photos and directly add it to the page. So if I click, drag, and drop, it will take me to another page, in which case I have to use one of our photo albums that already exist. I'm just going to go ahead and hit save. And we can see all of the photos that it was added here. And if we went to the homepage, we would be able to page through all of those and take a deeper look into them. The downside, well, I don't want to say the downside. The quick carousel is just that quick. If you want a lot of control, you want to have specific links and content, and you want to really know how your carousel is going to work, I would definitely recommend the dynamic carousel, which we will be touching on in a few minutes here. So I'm going to skip over carousels because these are our dynamic carousels, but we will come back to them. We have our links widgets. Links widgets are very much similar to the custom pages or site pages or photo albums for the homepage. It allows you to create a little navigation menu, though it is manual, but you can put as many or as few links on the page as you want into their own categories, and then you can reuse these links widgets on other parts of the system. So if you want to have a little collection of custom pages that all navigate within each other, a links widget is absolutely fantastic. It's basically like a little mini menu. Moving down, we have our events section. We have a mini calendar, which you guys can see here. It's just showing all of the days in the month, and it's highlighting any of the days that have events going on. We have our speakers. So if the club takes the time to enter their upcoming their speakers in the speakers module, the speakers widget will show them. Upcoming events is just like speakers. If you have events in your calendar, in your club's information, be it My Event Runner or Event Planner or calendar items, they'll show up in that list. And you can also have the meeting responsibilities widget, which shows off the duty roster if the club has taken the time to configure it. Lastly, on our collection of widgets, we have our big widget group. So we have some nice things like a bulletin subscriber widget. It sends people to a page where they can fill out a form and subscribe to the club's bulletins. We have our bulletins widget, which is a listing of recent bulletins. We have a quick Facebook like button. We have a collection of Rotary International links. This is a set of links that Rotary likes us to keep available for our customers. And it's a whole bunch of nice things like the Rotary International website, the President's Home, global rewards, joining Rotary, history of Rotary, the foundation, and new member information. We have our RSS widget, which you guys can see right here. If you have an RSS feed that you want to feature its content on your website, you can drag and drop the RSS feed widget onto the page, edit its URL, and get it going. Lastly, we have our sponsors widget. So if the club has configured any of the sponsors, you can drag and drop and add them onto the page and use them. They'll work exactly how they're intended to. If you have all sponsors, it's everything. If it's animated sponsors, it cycles through them one at a time. If it's a single sponsor, it just loads one sponsor and that's it. We also have our Facebook page plugin, which I will be showing off a little bit later in our series. And then we have our custom widgets and other widgets. So let's take a look a little bit more closely at our pre-formatted widgets. So I mentioned earlier that pre-formatted widgets, they're really nice because you can drag them on the page and they give you exactly what they say they do, right? Article with image left. If I drag and drop that widget onto the page, it gives me a section for text, a title, text, an image, and a link. And that's all fantastic. And the really nice thing is this widget has all of its mobile context taken into account as well. And the widget will rearrange itself to be displayed on mobile devices. It's the same with all of our pre-formatted widgets. Basically, it's a really easy way for you guys to get very tight control over the content on the page and have it look and feature exactly like what it's supposed to, regardless of whatever your level of HTML is. Now, one of the downsides for these widgets is that because we are so rigid with their structure, we really only allow you basic editing tools. So if you wanted to get in here and do custom HTML, custom CSS, you can't really do that with the pre-formatted widgets right now. We actually try and abstract as much of that away as possible in order to make sure that there's the least amount of chance of breaking or going out of bounds with these widgets to make sure that they work very consistently. All of the widgets have different options. Just hovering over the widget here, you can see that any section that we put our mouse cursor over will have an edit pencil. This will let us get in and edit that content and start modifying it. Anytime we're working with the editor, we should have some sort of editor toolbar, and the editor toolbar is specific to the section that you're editing. So when you're working in, for example, the full text area, you'll have some extra options like being able to insert an image, whereas in the title, you don't have that option. But as a really secret trick for everybody here, if you are on a Windows device, you can hit the Windows key and period, and you can insert emojis. I just love showing this off because I think it's one of those great little hidden features of Windows. I know Mac OS X has a similar feature. Unfortunately, I don't know what that is, but Windows key period will allow you to insert some emojis, which Club Runner supports because they're part of they're just part of the internet at this point now. So we've got our emoji in there. So all of our widgets, they're named pretty aptly. Article with image left, which is what we're looking at. Article with image right is the exact opposite of that. It's literally a mirrored version of the content. We have a call to action widget. And I know a lot of the time, sometimes clubs will say, hey, I really love these 3 buttons, but I only need 2 of them. So I want to show you guys, I showed it off at the beginning, but one of the secret options here is that if there is no label text, the button will not work and it will not be featured. You can see that it says empty. I will go ahead and very quickly publish the page. I'm going to hit view live page to open a new page. And you can see we only have 2 of those nice click me buttons instead of having 3. So if you ever have a call to action and you just need 2, or maybe you only need 1, but you still want this nice interface, take a look at that option to hide that label. So once again, as long as the label is empty, your button will go away. So I've hit this gear a couple times, but I want to hit it on the full properties. This will get you into all of the properties that are available to be reconfigured for the widget. Some widgets have more, other widgets have less. Anytime that you modify the properties of a widget, it will trigger a publish of that widget. So if I had changed something or even nothing about the widget, but I did interact with the properties, it's kind of the same as publishing a widget because it has to make major changes. So we have a double column text. It is exactly what it sounds like. You have 2 columns, left and right, to add text into. This is really nice if you want 2 really nicely controlled columns or you want to insert images. You can actually see we have some other options like triple image text and triple column text that will let you do similar things. And it is nice because these 2 boxes, when it is in a mobile view, will collapse on top of each other, just like everything else on this page has. We also have a single button, a single text area, triple image, an image with caption. They're all absolutely wonderful. They do exactly what they say they do and nothing more or nothing less for that matter. Let's go ahead and clean up some of these widgets though. Let's move on to our custom widgets. Custom widgets are on the exact opposite end of the spectrum to pre-formatted widgets. There's very little hand-holding, and they will do anything that you want them to do that you are capable of doing with HTML and CSS and to some extent JavaScript. So if we wanted to do a brand new global custom widget and we wanted to do a similar thing to one of our pre-formatted widgets, I'm kind of going to take us on that journey really quickly here. A couple of years ago now, I made a couple different posts trying to show off how clubs could use off Bootstrap. This is part of the Club Runner community. So I am just going to re-borrow this code. This is a layout for 4x1 on desktop, 2x2 on larger mobile devices, and 1x4 on phones. So this is our slightly nicer version here. I'm going to go ahead and copy all of this and hope all of the images are still in place for me. We're going to come over to our homepage designer here. I'm going to drag and drop a new global custom widget onto the page. It has added it for me. I need the full editor for this because I need to get into the HTML. So here I am in our full HTML editor. I'm going to hit the source button and I'm going to paste all of my HTML content. When I hit source again, you will see that I have exactly what I said I have here from my post on the community. I have 4 areas, each with their own little section, all with their text align. I'm going to go ahead and hit, let's change the widget here, our custom widget. We'll hit save and publish. And then we'll go ahead and publish the homepage as well. So I'm going to go out here. I'm going to reload this page and you can see now we have our big custom widget. I'm going to use my developer tools very quickly here in the background. We will be talking about them later to do a couple different things. Mostly, I wanted to switch to this view. So you can see here, as soon as we switched into this mobile view, that those 4 widgets, that one widget broke down into 4 things stacked on top of each other. And if I went for something more like a iPad Air, you can see that those 4 blocks have stacked on top of each other in this grid alignment instead of just being all on top of each other. So with Club Runner and with some HTML coding, custom widgets will really let you take it to the limits. The only potential downside is that it is all manual on you or your team to make these changes, but it is great that it's possible. We're not stopping you from injecting all this custom HTML and doing all these nice things with it. Now, of course, there's other things that you can do with like CSS, which we'll be talking about a little bit more, and JavaScript to take this even further. But that is very much, at least the JavaScript stuff is outside the scope of this webinar. So let's come back here. Let's talk a little bit more about our custom widgets. Just like all of our other widgets, we can drag and drop them around on the page. And we'll go ahead and leave that big guy there, though. Hovering over the widget, we can click in here to edit. So just like all of our other sections, I can get in here and use the Live Designer editor. But as you can see in our toolbar here, we don't have access to that source mode. So we can make changes here without a problem, but we just don't have access to that full HTML mode. So for example, if I needed to come in and modify its classes or some of its underlying HTML, I would need to go back to the full edit widget interface using this box with the outbound arrow. We have our properties here. Once again, I'm just going to click on them again to show you guys that for custom widgets, there's a lot more properties. You have a lot more options with its border and color options, including its title and whether or not it's shown, and some other options related to its content. Go ahead and cancel that. I've been using this, but this is the little drag point. Anytime you see these dots in a row, that typically indicates that it is a drag and drop point in Club Runner or a grab point. So clicking on it and holding it lets you click and drag and drop it around onto the page. Lastly, I have used this a few times, but it is the X. It removes the widget from the page. I didn't say delete. It technically deletes it from the page, but really it just takes it off of the page. Even though we've taken that widget away, we will still have our custom widget over here. So anytime that we needed to bring it back to reuse, we would have access to it. So, and then we're going to talk about the carousel next. So just to re-emphasize where we're coming from with our pre-formatted widgets and our custom widgets. Pre-formatted widgets are very rigid, but they handle all of the under the hood mobile device responsiveness stuff for you. Custom widgets are on the extreme other end of that scale. There's no hand holding. They'll still do some of the responsive things, like that's just the way our platform works. But if you wanted to take it further, you have the power to. The downside is that you have to know how to use it. It's a kind of bit like driving a stick versus a manual, right? Both modes of transportation, both will get you places, but the manual requires a little bit more effort for the same amount of work. But it has other advantages and stuff that we don't have to get into here, but that's just the big takeaway from my end. If you really need that high level of customization or that option for it, go with the custom widgets. Otherwise, definitely take a look at those pre-formatted widgets. Now that we've gone into a big review of the website designer and all the different sections, we are going to start diving into some of the other areas because we've covered all of the basics. And this is supposed to be an advanced webinar, so let's get into some of the more advanced things. So we are going to build a dynamic carousel. You guys can see that we have a couple other ones on this account already because we've gone through this a few times. But now we are going to start with a brand new one. So I am going to click and hold, drag, and drop it into where I want it on the page. Now for my dynamic carousel, I want it to be as big as whoever's looking at the page, regardless of their device type. So I'm going to drop it into the banner full width. If, however, I dropped it into that top section, it wouldn't touch the very edges of the page. And once we're done working on the carousel, we'll flop it back and forth just so you guys can see the difference between those two options. So as you can see for this dynamic carousel, there is a lot more options available right from the outset. We can have a description, we have a title, which was there before too, but not very much of it. And we have a whole bunch more options about how it animates, how long it's there, where the indicators are, if we're showing this indicators, if we're showing navigation on the slides, if we're showing slide titles, if we're doing any of these neat or interesting features. So I am going to bulk upload all of our slides to get started. Very specifically, I went to the Rotary Brand Center and I downloaded the People of Action photos. I know I really enjoy these photos. This is also what we have on customers' new websites when they subscribe with us. And I just want to note, if you don't like the photos that are here, the Brand Center actually will let you put your own photos behind this exact same branding so you can customize it to your club. I really strongly recommend checking out the People of Action campaign at the My Rotary Brand Center for our Rotary customers. But I am going to take them. These are all in English for the purposes of our demo, but I do know Rotary has other versions of these same pictures with other languages already available for them. So we have uploaded 4 of our carousels, 4 of our carousel slides, and we can now rearrange the order of them. So I want End Polio to be our absolutely first one. I'd like Inspire to be our second one, and then I want Connect and Transform. So basically, the widgets will go End Polio, Inspire, Connect, and Transform in order. But we can do things with each of these slides. So let's go ahead and hit Edit, and let's take a look at our options for the slide. So we have the image for the slide, which we've already seen, but we also have some additional options here. We can set a background color and a transparency for the photo. So if you wanted to have a neat effect with the background photo, basically there's a whole bunch of different neat things that you can do here if you're willing to take the time. I do not want the title to be that. I want this just to be End Polio. We will show the slide. Actually, no, let's not do the slide description on this one. We'll do it on our next one. We can go into our advanced content settings, and here you can see we can set a background color and background transparency again. We could also set all kinds of text here, but I said I'm not going to do this on this one. But I do want to send people out to other places, so I want to have this be learn how you can help. And I am going to set this as a custom URL, and I am going to send everybody to rotary.org for this slide. But of course, you could send them to any of the content in Club Runner. You could link to your custom pages, your documents, your events, your built-in pages, your photo albums, your stories. And for built-in pages, there are all types of things like the homepage, bulletin list, basically the vast majority of content on your website. Let's send them back to the custom URL, and it'll go to Rotary. We will have the button style in primary, and we'll have that button open a link in a new window. Now, without getting into it too much, my suggestion for links in new windows is if they are going to exit your organization's website or they are downloading a file, you might want to use the new window option. But if you are staying on your own website, I strongly recommend leaving this off, because in most cases, if a visitor doesn't like where they've gone to, they can just hit the back button and return. But since we are sending them to an external website, we will leave this as open in a new window. So the label here, this is the carousel link settings. I'm sorry, I kind of just quickly ran past that. There's going to be a button that will show on the carousel. Its label is going to be learn how you can help. And we've set its link type and its style. Go ahead and hit save. For our next one, this is Inspire. I am going to quickly run out and get some more Lipsum text once again, just because I need something here. So everyone here can see how the text will end up looking on the carousel. So let's go ahead and edit here. We will call this Inspire. We'll go ahead and drop our text in, and I already think that's probably going to be way too much text. So let me go ahead and drop this guy out here. We'll just leave this one. But you know what? We will set a background color of a gold, and we will set the background's transparency to 25%. So hopefully it should have a nice little color gradient on it. and we'll see how this looks. And if we don't like it, we can always come back and change it some more. We will skip the carousel link in this case. And for our other two, I think we're just going to leave them as is. So let's take a look at our widget's properties. We're going to go ahead and hit edit here, and we'll come in. We have all of our general options that we've seen before, showing the border, padding, options, thickness. We are going to call this our people of action carousel. I am going to leave the title off because I don't want the title on. I really want this to be about the carousel, but let's take a look at some of our slide options, or setting options rather. So we have the carousel animation, and we have different animation styles. So slide is when it just goes left to right. We have a fade, cube, cover flow, and flip. Most of these don't show up too well on screen share, so I would really encourage everybody to take a look at them on their own websites and devices, but I will try the cube option for this case. The carousel indicator positions, these tell you which slide of this carousel that you're on. You have a whole bunch of options. Let's put them on the bottom right. Right now, each of our slides will wait for 3 seconds before transitioning to the next slide. I want that to be a little bit longer, so I'm going to up that to 5. I do want the slide indicators on, and I do want the slide navigation arrows on. I don't want the slide title on. Match photo sizes. So what this does is, if you have a few photos that are a few pixels off from each other, as in not all of the photos in the carousel are the same size, this is a fantastic option, but it really only helps if you have a photo that's just a little bit off. Ideally, all of your photos in your carousel should have the same the direct same image sizes, and I'm going to use really easy numbers here just for comparison. Let's say you had a picture that's 1,000 pixels wide by 500 pixels tall. You'd want all of your other photos in your carousels ideally to be those same sizes, or the same aspect ratio, which in our case is 2:1. It is twice as wide as it is tall. So we can have photos that are 2,000 pixels wide by 1,000 pixels tall. We could also continue going up to the extreme, but we could also reverse that. We could have a picture that's 500 pixels wide by 250 pixels tall. The important case in all of these sizing and dimensions and numbers that I'm throwing out in your face is that they match their aspect ratio. You don't want to mix photos that have a completely different aspect ratio. So for example, all of the photos that we have already uploaded here are these wide landscape style photos. You wouldn't want to take a tall photo that is not very wide and put it in with these same photos. Why, you ask? If we had that option on and we matched all the photo sizes, it will make all of the slides as tall as that one photo is wide. So it's going to be really, it's kind of disastrous is the easiest thing to say. So really try to keep all your photos consistent. That is a absolute pro tip from our carousel best practices. Keeping them as close to possible is the best. And if you do have one that's, let's say it's 950 by something else, it's just wrong, use that match photo sizes and it should be pretty much invisible that anything's wrong. Lastly, we have a zoom view, which when you hover over the carousel slide, it'll zoom into it. And then when you mouse back out, it'll zoom out. We also have a couple more advanced options. You can change the type, the paging style of the indicators. I'll use dynamic bullets. And we can set custom pagination and navigation color. That's if we really need them to stand or shine out. So let's go ahead and hit save. We've saved all of our settings. We're going to go back to our homepage designer. We have our new carousel. Let's go ahead and publish it, and let's take a look at it on the website. So you can see here that our carousel slide is the first thing on the page. I don't know if you guys can actually accurately see that flipping animation there, but you guys can see that it'll move through and it waits those 5 seconds. Now, I can see here that this text is not visible or viewable in any way, shape, or form. So let's head back into our designer. Let's hover over our widget and let's get to editing it again. What did I do here that made that? I did not check the checkbox to show the slide description on the carousel. So don't be like Zachary. Take that lesson to heart. Make sure if you want the slide description to show that you set it. Let's go ahead and save that. And because we're editing the widget directly, it should update pretty much automatically. And if I refresh here and go to our next screen, we can now see our text. Though I think if we're being very honest with ourselves, the text here doesn't really look good. It doesn't fit in the right place. So let's go back into the widget here and we'll turn it off. Mostly, I wanted to show you guys that it was possible to have it and how it looked. I'll go ahead and turn all those settings off and save it. We'll return back to our homepage and we'll refresh. And when we go to our next tab, you can see that that's all gone now. Going back to our first individual slide here, you can see this Learn How It Helps. Clicking on it will take us right over to the Rotary International website, and that is exactly what we wanted it to do. So let me show one more thing with our dynamic carousel here. Oops, sorry about that. Let's see, I need to head to the designer. So I've been mentioning it's currently in this full width section. I'm going to drop it down one real quick. Oh, no, come on. There it goes. So real quickly here, I'm going to disconnect this tab from the other tabs. And as you guys see, as I resize this window here, this slide is always resizing itself to always touch the absolute edges of my browser. And that's exactly what this current area is. Now, for example, if you don't want the photos to scale with the size of the page, we can move it from this banner full width to this top section. I'm going to go ahead and publish. It's going. Let's go. Let's see if we've gotten lucky. And now you can see that the banner is still there. I don't know if it did not change. There it goes. Now you can see that I moved it to a different section, and you can see how much smaller this widget is, or this carousel is. And regardless of how much bigger I make my browser, it's only ever going to touch the document size, which you can see that it continues to shrink here, regardless of how much smaller I go. And when we get into the mobile device size, it also stays shrunken. All right, we are through. I think I'm pretty happy with all of our stuff that we've covered with our dynamic slides. So let's go ahead and just move him back up to the top, which I think where we would probably really prefer this slide. Let's go ahead and publish it. And let's take a look at custom pages. So I feel like I'm running just a little bit behind, but I think we're mostly on track. We might end up going just a little bit over time on Q&A, but I'm just going to keep pushing full on this. So we can head back to our website tab here, and we'd really want to head to website content, and then we're going to navigate into pages, or just coming down on the administrative page here, scrolling with my mouse wheel. I can also go directly to pages or create a page. I am going to navigate manually just so you guys can see how to do that. So I'm going to head to website content. I'm going to head to custom pages. And I'm on our grid list of pages here. I am going to hit the button Create New Page. And it's going to ask me which page template do I want to use. Page templates, there's a bunch from Club Runner, and I actually know we should be getting some new ones in here pretty soon. But in addition to the templates Club Runner provides, you are also the club's own templates. Now you can see here, there are no templates here at all. And that's fine because we haven't saved any on this account yet, but we can use one of our current Club Runner templates. Then we can save it, we can modify it to our likings and then save it. So this club has a flagship biking event every year. I am going to go ahead and select this. And if you guys are familiar with our bulletin designer, this first process of selecting the template to create your page is very similar. So I've selected our template. I'm going to hit next. What this is going to do is it's going to grab all of the widgets from that page, copy it right down to our template or our custom page here on the website. And if we were happy with everything on the page, then we're technically done. We don't have to do anything else. Now, I know for a case that, most of our clubs are going to have to edit these pages, if for no other reason than, they were built a couple years ago. So let's go ahead and move this to 2023. That way it has the right item on it. Let's go ahead and change the name of this page. We're going to do Bike for a Cure. Let's take actually a quick look over this properties page, because unlike our other pages that we were working at before, this is very similar to the homepage designer, except that it's not the homepage. So most of the things that it supports are all here. You'll notice that we don't have the themes option. Themes is a setting that is for the whole website, so it's only available on the homepage designer. All of our other individual custom pages will use the main theme. But we do have an extra box here called properties. And real quickly, we do have a couple properties that we can manage. The page's title, the permalink for the page. This is the bits of information that come after /page. The page tab title. This is the HTML tab page title in case you want it to be different than your on-page title. Raising money to find the cure. So we can have a different tab versus the page title. That we can choose whether or not this page will be displayed on the homepage. This will work if you have the custom pages for the homepage widget on the homepage somewhere. We have two settings here for access level, and they're pretty straightforward. We either have a public access level, meaning anyone on the internet, if they go to this page, they can view it, or requires login. If it is requires login, only members of your club who are logged in will be able to view the content on the page. However, please note for things like images or documents, or not documents, sorry, images and download files, those are always public. So if someone knows how to get to the image, they can still view it, but otherwise the content of the page is private. Lastly, we have ownership. This owner feature allows you to assign ownership of this page to someone in your club or district who doesn't otherwise have website editing rights. So if you have someone who's typically involved in just updating the information for an event, you can give them access to just that event. So Aaron here doesn't need this access because he's a site administrator, but one of the other nice things is setting an owner also helps implies who's responsible for the page. For non-administrators, there are some additional restrictions, basically locking this page to the ownership of Aaron. Aaron is, in some ways, as an administrator, going to be one of the people who can edit it. Other admins can as well, but some lesser level people may not be able to. Because we made a whole bunch of changes, I want to do two things. I want to save them and I want to publish them. Saving properties is very specific. You do have to save it. If you navigate it off or away or you publish without saving, it won't pick up those changes. You do have to save very specifically. So now if we go out and we view the live page, we can see that we have a way to set our HTML title of the page, we have our page title, and we have all of the information about our club's event. Now, I'm very sure a lot of you would spend a lot more time going in, editing the widget, dragging and dropping, putting more information in there, but I just wanted to show you guys the basics of how we create a new page and get into it. So we have done this, so I'm going to go ahead and hit back. And one of the other really important things that I want to show you guys is how we can reuse that page. So this is the Bike for a Cure page. Let's make one quick change for this page. This is Bike for the Cure. I'm going to go to the properties, 2023. It's also going to ask me, do you want to update my permalink? And I do. So this is the event for 2023. I'm going to go ahead and save this. I'm going to publish it. All those changes should go through. But I know every year our club has this same event. And, you know, it'd be really great if we had a history of all of our past ones, even if we at some point in the future, you know, log them as member only. That way the members of the public can't see them in the past. But regardless of that, maybe I want to reuse this page each year with my own pictures and customizations. And for any of our custom pages, once we're happy with them, we can save them as a template. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. What this does is we have now made this Bike for a Cure. This is Bike for a Cure template. It literally took the same page I had already made, created it as a template. I'm going to save its properties. I am going to publish it because it's a template just to make sure it's there. And now if I go to create a new page and I choose my templates, you can see that we have the Bike for a Cure template. And if I use it and I click next, it will create a copy of my saved template. and we now have our new Bike for the Cure template, and we're going to change this to Bike for the Cure 2024. It's also going to update my permalink. Go ahead and hit save. So once you set up that first page and you save it as a template, it's really easy to keep reusing it to do more and more things with, because it respects your time. You've already made all of these changes. And oh, you know what? I just realized, and I need to make a note of this. The link to manage your templates is missing for some reason. So I need to make sure we get that fixed up. But you should be able to go into your templates, edit and manage them. I definitely know there's a way to get in there right now. I just don't know where it is in front of me, but our team will definitely look into that outside of this webinar. Let's take a quick look at, let's go back to our Bike for the Cure page real quick here. I need to show off a couple other things. So one of the things I did want to talk about was our Facebook page plugin widget. The Facebook page plugin widget is absolutely fantastic for pulling some information out of Facebook and showing it on third-party pages. I want to change the layout real quick because this Facebook page widget will be much, much better in this sidebar. Let's get it into the left sidebar there. All right, so we now have our Facebook page widget in here. It's not showing anything right now because it's not configured to do too much, and it's also how it is embedded can't be displayed in here. But that's just a limitation in general. It will work on the website. So I do want to make sure we show the timelines tab because that is the most important one. But effectively what this is you can dragging and dropping this widget onto the page sets up a Facebook page plugin for you dynamically. And all you really need to do is put in your club's page. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save. We're going to go ahead and publish this widget. We're going to go out to the website. And as we scroll down here, we can see the Rotary International Facebook page feed. And this feed is working because Rotary International has a Facebook page and is open to public with no restrictions, and it automatically pulls it over. Now, one of the things I do occasionally hear from people is that, hey, my Facebook page plugin is not loading. I do want to tell you guys, there's been a lot of reports of bugs with the Facebook page on the Facebook platform. We have seen improvements, and generally speaking, in a lot of cases, we don't have any problems. Like vast majority of people don't have problems with the plugin. It works really fantastically. But if you do run into an error, you can absolutely contact our team. We'll let you kind of know what's going on with it. But in a lot of cases, the intermittent errors we see with it from time to time, unfortunately, are from the Facebook end of things. So yeah, like I don't want to dissuade you from using it. I just want to make it clear that occasionally the Facebook plugin might not load correctly. That's usually a case of an issue on Facebook's end, but in like our team's experience on a day-to-day basis, we very rarely see any problems with it. It's usually just customers contacting it, and most of the time we found that it ends up being like a plugin or a browser setting that is prohibiting things, and it's not actually the plugin or Club Runner that's causing any problems. But I really do like the Facebook page, especially for club news. If your club has a Facebook page, if it has a Twitter page, embedding these feeds are a great way to help keep your website up to date. But it's also a great way using Twitter, using Facebook, using any of your social media platforms to drive more traffic back to your club's website. Even if it's not Club Runner for some reason, you should be using all of your social media to drive people back to the things that you want them to see and visit and interact with. In addition to our Facebook page plugin that is available on most pages, you can drag and drop it onto pretty much any page on the website. We also have a social media share bar that shows with a lot of the content on the website. So here we have a story page, and I'm going to scroll down to the bottom. It's not there. I'm going to use our edit pencil to jump right into the back end here. I'm going to check this social media checkbox and save and publish. We're going to go back here. We're going to reload the page, and we're now going to see our share bar. So this is our social media share bar. Anytime you guys see this, this lets the person interacting with the page share this page onto their own social media. So I could like it and like the page over at Facebook. I got a funky little block there. I could click on this Facebook button, and it will send me over to the Facebook share. It's going to ask me to log in because I'm not logged into Facebook on this account. but it's the same with all of these different platforms. If the user was signed into their device and profile, they would be able to share a link to this page to their own social media channels. And it's the same for Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Blogger, Pinterest, and email. It lets you share this with your people through those specific social media. So yeah, just to kind of reiterate on that, if I was to share this, I would be sharing it to my own Facebook page, my own Twitter timeline, etc. And it's really great to help drive those traffic back. We do definitely recommend leaving it on because it lets more people, it has a better chance of having people share your website with people, and hopefully more people will see that on the internet. And it's a great way to make it easy for visitors to interact with your website. So the last section that I have some time for today is our custom CSS. Now, if we come to the homepage here, we can see a couple different things. I'm just going to close some of our other tabs here real quickly. So you can see that, for example, let's say I, as an administrator, I love this color scheme, but I don't like the color of all of these titles in our widgets, and I just think they're too small. There is a wonderful thing called Cascading Style Sheets, or CSS. Along with your browser's development tools, this is the carousel here is a little distracting. Let me head into the members area. I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of that guy real quick, just to make it a little bit easier for me to show these things off to you guys. So I got rid of that real quickly. One of the things that we do want to talk about just a little bit as part of our Cascading Style Sheets overview is the browser developer tools. So for most devices, at least Windows devices, F12 will bring up the browser's developer tools. Every browser has these tools. Some browsers have a little bit of a gatekeeper. For example, I know Microsoft Edge will say, hey, we noticed you wanted to use the browser tools. Are you sure? If you say yes, it'll open up this nice little panel here, and you can see it's already doing some stuff. You can see here that it actually changed the way the page looked. It forced it into a different viewport because it's simulating an iPad Air. It's this little icon right here. It is the device toolbar. It lets you make the web page act as if it were different devices, which in and of itself, if I show you nothing else from our developer tools, hey, Bob, how does that page look out on our website live on a mobile device? Well, we can click our device toolbar. We can choose a device here, for example, an iPhone 12 Pro. And while this isn't one-to-one, it'll be a very similar feel to what I was getting on a mobile device. Let me go ahead and turn that off. One of the other things here is you can see that I can scroll down and interact with different parts of the website. For example, this right now, I'm hovering over the HTML that composes the entire navigation bar. And if if we didn't want this nav bar shown for some reason, if nothing else, if we were mocking up a little demo or we just wanted to see what the page would look like without it, we can start adding our own CSS rules. I'm going to use the display rule and I'm going to set its attribute to none. And you can see quite literally the entire top nav bar just disappeared. Now, when I reload this page, that change is going to go away because I'm only playing with my browser's developer tools. It allows me to modify the page on my own device, but it doesn't modify the page externally. But there are other things we can do. Like I said, I'm not currently happy with the color of all of these titles or their size. So I can right click on them. I can choose inspect. You can see here that the browser developer tools brought us right to the specific bit of HTML that we're seeing. And we're actually going to go up just one. And we can see here that this is the div that holds our widget titles. We can see that it has two particular classes on it, the H2 class and the widget title class. If I come over here, I can create a new style rule, but let's do two things. I want to make these red so they really stand out. And I want to change the font size to be much larger. So what I did here is I only modified the style properties for this individual element. But let's say I wanted to have all of my widget titles have this red color with this increased font size. I am going to click on this title here. I'm going to click this new style rule, and you will see here that the browser developer tools already sees this widget classes, and we are going to create a class just for this widget. So we're going to do the same things. We're going to set color red. We're going to set font size to EM. That's a very fancy modern size. And if I minimize it, oh no, why did it not work? It didn't seem to work here. I'm going to go ahead and undo my changes here. So I must have gotten, even though the browser developer tools here gave me an appropriate title, it's not working, or it gave me an appropriate class. I'm not 100% sure why. I'm not here to debug those things, but I also know that I should be able to hook into this item here, because when I hover over it, you guys can see on the page, it is highlighting all the other sections for those widget titles. So instead of changing the size there, I'm going to set the font size to 2EM here. 2EM is shorthand for 2 standard lines of height based on whatever my document's height is. But we're also going to set the color to red. And now you guys can see that all of the widgets on this page have the larger font size and the red color. This is a great way to affect a change across your whole website. But just like before, this change isn't final because we're still playing in our developer tools. What we can do, however, and I've done this advance before this webinar, is I copied the rule that our developer tools created for us, and I put it into its own file, and I called it bigwidgettitlepont.css. What I can do is head into the website area. Actually, I don't want him. I'm going to head into the members area here. I'm going to click on the website tab. I'm going to click on website settings, and I'm going to come down to upload CSS. Now you guys can see I have 2 CSS files already here, and they've been off the whole time. So what I'm going to do is first, I'm going to activate our big widget title font CSS. And shortly after I activate it, if I go to the live page, hopefully it should show up here. Sometimes turning CSS on and off or adding a new CSS file can take an extra minute. Hopefully we won't be too bad here today. I'll give that a minute to publish. Maybe I shouldn't have to publish the homepage, but let's just go ahead and publish it just to see it. You guys can actually see it here already. My new CSS is taking effect even in the website Live Designer. I also enabled that other CSS change. You can see here the big logo. So I'm going to duplicate this tab, and hopefully we get lucky. Basically, I'm going to be very candid with you guys. Anytime you add or upload or change the status of your CSS, it can take a couple minutes for your general cache to time out and for that change to be detected. But usually, they should go through pretty quick. Let me just use the preview tab here so you guys can see this. So I think you guys can see the difference pretty easily here. If we go back out to our live page, you can see that our club logo is smaller. Our text for all of these blocks are smaller and they're blue, but using this custom CSS, we were able to make our club logo much larger, and we were able to make all of our page content much larger as well. Let's just publish one more time and see if I get lucky here. It's still going through. I'm very sure as we're working through the webinar here, or as we're going through our Q&A portion of our webinar here, those settings might turn on and get enabled, and we'll be able to take a look at that. But that sums up the bulk majority of content that I had for our webinar. I see Stephen has a whole bunch of Q&A flagged up there for me. So Stephen, did you wanna give me some of those Q&A questions?
There we go. So accidentally off the start, I accidentally marked one as live from Mary. Can you demonstrate how to upload a video to the homepage? Can a video be uploaded into the photo album widget?
That is a great question, which is kind of odd because I'm about to tell you, no, you cannot upload a video to the homepage, nor can you upload videos to the photo albums widget. However, if you can get your video hosted externally, for example, here you guys can see that we have our Club Runner mobile app video. So, oh, God, goodness, I was not expecting that. Sorry about that, guys. Did not mean for that to be loud or anything else. The important thing here is that we can come here, grab this YouTube URL, and we can put it into a custom widget in such a way that we will automatically embed it. So I'm going to go ahead and edit it here. I know that this widget was automatically added with some nice stuff here. And I also know that the only thing I have to do here is update this, but I could use, let's go ahead and delete this. I should be able to use this guy here. Align center, responsive, sure. Hit save. We've got our video in there. I'm going to save and publish it. We can go back out to the homepage and we will now see our new video is there. So it is possible to get a video on your club's website. However, the current limitation is that you do need to be able to host that video somewhere like the YouTubes or the Vimeos and then bring that remote embed back to your website.
Perfect. We have another one we have one from Rose. She's looking for the social media share for an individual to share stories to their own pages.
So we did cover that a little bit earlier. The social media share bar is automatically available on stories and calendar content by default. At this time, things like custom pages don't support them, but site pages do. We are looking to bring that share functionality to more parts of the system, but as I said, it's only available by default through stories and other content like stories and calendars, basically things that have a very fixed layout right now.
Perfect. So we got another question from Anne. No other way to change across the entire site without doing this HTML developer stuff?
I mean, kind of, yes. If you want to affect a change, a big change, like your website's font or your colors or your things, you have to be somewhat familiar with CSS. We actually, I didn't spend too much time on the CSS area, but we have a lot of options here. I have seen clubs in the past. There's this very advanced option. If you already have custom CSS enabled, I just disabled all of our theme CSS. It'll take a minute to come in. I'm actually going to go turn it off. But what this does is it actually turns off all of the Club Runner CSS, all of the Club Runner CSS. So you can build it all up from scratch. Now, yes, CSS is an advanced part of the functionality that we offer, but there are thousands of fantastic tutorials and resources across the internet that will teach you how to use the developer tools, teach you how to write basic HTML, and teach you how to write CSS. The most important part to kind of remember about CSS is they're all rules. So if you write the rules and you write a class, while I was showing you guys how to impact changes across the things that already exist in Club Runner, if you want your specific formatting to be consistent for your custom widgets and other custom HTML, you can set your own custom classes in that HTML and have it automatically do those things. But for today, the only way to make these big site-wide changes is through using CSS on some level.
Rose did ask another question. It's actually a really good question. Is there a way to create a custom widget, make some edits, then make copies, keeping the original site so you have several with the same design but different content?
Oh, that is a great question. I am not off the top of my head aware of a way to directly copy a widget between each other, but I want to look into that a little bit more. Definitely, if you are using like a global custom widget or something like that, you can drag it onto the page. This is their same video widget. I'm going to go into the full editor, and it was very straightforward to come into the source mode, copy and paste it. But for example, if you wanted to do the same thing with a widget, like you had an article left that you really liked as your template, that's not possible right now, but that is really fantastic feedback. Give me just 1 minute here. I want to make a note about that. Ability
I did
to
make a note of
copy
it on my side.
Awesome. Okay, widgets. I know there's some stuff we'd like to do to enable more widget management, so that'll be pretty fantastic on that front.
Caroline actually noticed something. Why didn't the mini calendar widget not change color? I believe she means on the top there.
Yes, so it hasn't changed color here yet. But basically the long and short is this isn't actually the header of the widget. This is the content of the widget. I know this because I've been staring at our designs for a very long time right now, the widget title is actually off. And I can tell that because the border is also missing. So if we very quickly head into the homepage designer here, the widget's title is, or no, that show border, no, mini calendar, there it is. I'll turn the border setting off. There, now it's red.
I'm looking through the chat.
Yeah, I don't think I see too many other specific things. The only thing I will want to say, I see some questions about the Facebook. Oh, no. Okay, good. That opened in a different window. I do want to just mention that only Facebook groups, or not groups, only Facebook pages can be shared with the Facebook widget. That is something that comes up pretty often. Sometimes people have groups and they're like, oh, why doesn't it work for groups? It's not Club Runner trying to punish you or anything like that. The Facebook page plugin only works with Facebook pages because it's Facebook's widget. But yeah, actually very specifically, our implementation of the Facebook page widget is the exact same content that you would go to facebook.com to copy and paste and bring back to Club Runner. We just wanted to make it easier for you guys to use it.
Yeah, that pretty much covers everything. There are a few people I'm going to reach out to after the webinars, but
I don't think we had too many. Yeah, we didn't have too many questions. So that's pretty fantastic. Awesome. So I really appreciate all of your guys' time today. It was really wonderful having you guys here. I just want to go over some final things that I like to go over at the end of every one of my webinars, and it's how to get in touch with our team and some of our contact resources. So first things first, clubrunnersupport.com. This is our knowledge base. This is where you can find guides, help articles, news, our webinars, and getting in touch with us. For example, if there are problems happening with our email infrastructure, which has been happening the last couple of days. I don't like mentioning it in our webinar videos, but it's a fact of the matter. So we've been having some issues with our email the last couple of days. We've made a lot of really good strides. In the current status, it's pretty stable, but it's a great place to go and keep up to date. We do our best to make sure anytime we're having disruptions or that there's going to be an office closure, or for example, we have nice things like our changeover training series, which you guys are in right now. And lastly, any of our product updates. So for example, Rotaract innovation is now available for all of our Rotaract clubs. We do our best to keep all of these things up to date and moving, but you can also find tons of resources and guides. A lot of the stuff that we talked about today can be found in some way, shape, or form through our website content. We also have tons of great guides like our Live Designer, My Event Runner donations, and membership success. Additionally, if you guys need to get in touch with us, there's a couple different ways to do that. We are available Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Toronto time at 855-621-2582. Option 1 for our sales team, option 2 for our support team, option 3 for any billing questions. Once again, that phone number is 855-621-2582. You can also send us an email, support, SUPPORT @clubrunner.ca. Additionally, if you don't, for some reason, have access to an email client, you can always come to clubrunnersupport.com, click on contact us, and fill out the form. You can put it into whatever department that you think is appropriate for your questions. You can put a subject and you can put it in a priority as well. Once you submit that, that comes to our team. Additionally, the Club Runner community. The Club Runner community empowers members just like yourself to have discussions, post questions, and receive answers from not only our support team, but all the other users of Club Runner. In addition to all of our Rotary clubs that do use Club Runner, we also have non-Rotary clubs as well, and all of the members of the Club Runner community are able to participate. The only thing you need to know is your login information for Club Runner. The first time you log in, if you've never logged in before and you log in successfully, it'll take you down to create a little profile for yourself, set up all your defaults, and then you'll be good to go and you can go off to the races and start participating in the Club Runner community. I just want to also, one little real quick last thing is we do have a couple other training resources coming up over the next couple days. I think we are getting down to the end of it though. So a little bit later tonight, there will be a website content webinar going over other things like stories, photo albums, speakers, and sponsors, all things we didn't really touch on today, but they will be working on custom and site pages. They'll also be talking about documents and download files and how to embed videos from YouTube, which we did kind of feature as a quick bonus here, but it was very fast. And then on Sunday, we have 2 more webinars outstanding, sending emails and newsletters, and new this year is our membership success webinar. For all of our clubs, if you have not taken a look at membership success, is the new way to help get members into your club and track their flow from prospect all the way to joined member. Would strongly recommend giving that one a check. So that concludes our session for today. Stephen, thank you so much for being my co-host. Attendees, thank you so much for being here today and participating with us. Thank you for all your great questions. We hope to see you guys soon. Have a great weekend.